This week, Dave, a guy writes in to say that his friend, who lives in the same building as him, has a toddler. And every time this guy throws a party, his friend brings the toddler. He'd like to tell his friend not to bring his toddler, but he's afraid to offend him. What should he do?
Well, let's break the question into two parts.
Sure.
One, should people bring their kids to parties? And my feeling about that is absolutely not. It's like, oh, it's going to be that kind of party. Like, it's just saying to the world, this is going to be a tame party. We have become tame and boring and dull. I learned one of the most important words of parenthood, which is babysitter.
Yeah.
Like, when you first have a kid, you think everybody wants to look at them.
Yeah.
Newsflash, they don't.
There also may be people at that party who are going out for a night on their own, you know, to get away from their kids, maybe, to have some adult time.
When you're spending all this time with kids, you want to go and talk to other adults, and if everybody's like, coochie, coochie, coo, it's like, there's no escape, I'm in hell. On the one hand, we really fetishize children and make them into our new religion, and on the other hand, are kind of a not all that child-friendly a culture, so it's a strange schizophrenia.
It's a strange dichotomy, you're right. It seems in our culture that, more so than in the European culture, that the kids really aren't tolerated to a degree where you go to a restaurant and sometimes you get dirty looks. There have been in Toronto signs put on stores, no children and strollers. So do you think that there's, I mean, we're talking about parties, but is there a limit where maybe we should loosen up a bit?
Kids should be seen and even heard during the day, but I think at night, swept into the wings. Parents of new kids are really touchy. They think everybody loves their kids. To suggest, like, could you just leave your kid at home? I can't see how you could do that without hurting the person's feelings. You should just grin and bear it for the sake of the friendship.
Do you know what I would do, Dave? I would say to, let's say his name's Bob. I would say, listen, Bob, why don't we get together with your kids Saturday afternoon? I'd love to see them and actually have some fun and go to a park, but the party's not really the place.
Yeah.
It's totally inappropriate.
You could maybe go so far as to say, you know, well, we're having an adults-only party or something like that. It has struck me that you can say almost anything to anybody without causing offense.
It's how you say it.
So maybe it is possible, if you really beat around the bush and back into it, to give this guy the hint without hurting his feelings, but I would be very careful.
Okay, so Dave, a balance between an acceptance and integration of kids, but also a certain time and place for the kids too?
Yeah, and if somebody persists in, you know, endlessly bringing their toddler to your parties, maybe a very, very gentle hint.